Hello there, and welcome to more GT7 online racing. Today's video will feature another round of Daily Race C, this time with 13 laps at Laguna Seca in Group 3 cars. As we'll see coming up, Laguna Seca can be a painfully tricky circuit, but equally as rewarding when you get it right. Stay tuned for a couple of feature races, and thanks for checking out the video. Now, as mentioned, we had access to Group 3 cars for this race. But as you can see here, one car had a clear advantage in pace around this track. We'll be running with the herd for this one and driving the Renault this week. Here's a brief look at my first couple of races, and I dealt with one major pain point early on, the kink at turn 6. As you can see, turning in early and catching that sausage curb at the apex just completely unsettles the car through the corner, leaving me to drift hopelessly back across the track and into the wall. This is the very next race, and it's going to be a shot-for-shot remake of the first race. I was not a big fan of the sequel, to be honest. But thankfully, we'll have another go. Starting from pole position for this one, and you can bet that I'll take extra care in avoiding the sausage curb in this race. Here's the start of the race, heading towards turn 1. I've decided to start on the hard compound tire, but we'll need to use the soft at some point. My plan for this strategy is to run 7 laps on the hard and then 6 on the softs. I get a poor run through this corner, which invites one car through now. Another car goes by out of the following turn, and then one more gets a run along the inside towards turn 5. I've settled into P4 then through the first couple of laps. As we near the end of the second lap, this Canadian driver takes his SpongeBob liveried car for a very sudden trip into the wall, sending them to the bikini bottom of the order. Boo! I was still frustrated with the gap that had been building to the cars ahead. That is, until the end of lap 6, when the leaders pit and come off the soft tire. This honestly threw me off, as evidenced by the way I completely botched the final corner. Here's pit exit at the start of lap 8. I'm in P9 for the moment, with several cars yet to pit. Now it's up to me to lock in, warm up these tires, and get by the traffic ahead as quickly as possible. Later on in the lap, the American driver in P8 has a slow run out of the kink, and I'm going to cruise by heading into the corkscrew. This is another famously challenging part of the track, but so far I've gotten through unscathed, thankfully enough. Fast forward to lap 9, and a few more cars have pitted, leaving me in P4 with one more left to pit. The Brazilian in P3 is slow out of the kink, and they very kindly move out of the way for me to take the inside line into the corkscrew. Clean racing shown from the pair of us, and I get by into P3. On lap 10, it's me and the leader now. I've closed the gap considerably as we head towards turn 5. Into the corner, they go narrow in and wide out, and that leaves the door wide open for me up the inside and into the lead. After 3 more laps, the gap did open up, leaving me with plenty of breathing room and eventually, the race win. Having won that race, the obvious thing to do next was to find a Ferrari F1 livery and toss it on the Renault. Perfect. Here's our second feature race, and I'll be starting this one in P2. Have a look at my car and all its Scuderia red glory. And bonus points if you know who wore this helmet back in the day. and we are racing once more at Laguna Seca. Admittedly, I had every intention of starting this race on the hard tire, same as before. But after a quick qualifying session beforehand, I forgot to swap off the soft tires before the race started, and so we find ourselves on the soft tire to start this one off. Through the first few corners, and I am tucked firmly between first and third place, with a small gap forming to the cars behind. So, now that I have started on the softs, I will need to switch the strategy around. I will still try to run 6 laps on the soft tire, then swap for hards for the remaining 7 laps. Now, because it's usually preferred to start on the slower tire and finish on the quicker set, I was expecting more of the cars around me to be on the hard tire for this opening stint. But given the relative pace of this group of 3 that I find myself in, it seems like we're all on the same strategy for this race. Let's move up to lap 2 now, and you can see the leader has opened up the gap slightly, extending the lead to about 1 second. That is until this moment through the kink. They go a bit wide and nearly spin back onto the track, but manage to save the car and get back online, now in P3. Having 180'd my car into the wall twice in previous races in that same spot. I have to admit, I was impressed when watching this back. Anyways, up into P1 then, but I've still got the car behind in very close proximity. They've done well to maintain the pace, if not edge it out slightly to this point. It's a tough order given the pair of headlights filling up my rear view, but right now I need to put my head down, get a few clean laps, and really maximize my pace on these soft tires. Here's the middle of lap 5 then, and still the Argentine behind has kept the gap tight through the last few laps. As if that weren't pressure enough, my right front tire has all but disintegrated. As we head through the kink, the car behind gets the momentum and decides to make the move now down the back straight. I don't fight it much through the corkscrew, and we both get through safely with the Argentine now in the lead. With how much pace I'm losing with the tire dig, I might have been better off pitting at the end of lap 5. But I decided to stay out for one more lap, and it just might cost me. During lap 6 then, the leader has opened up a gap of about 1.4 seconds, and now I've got the Canadian driver closing in behind. Through turn 9 with a bad line in and loads of understeer out, I'm going to lose tons of momentum towards the next corner. Thankfully, I'm heading into the pits, but as I do, the Canadian behind pulls alongside and manages to sneak in just before me. As we exit, we've actually ghosted into one another. The Canadian takes the advantage through the corner and keeps the place for now. Despite a bit of a shaky end to that first stint, I've not lost all hope just yet. We've been in the running for the lead or a podium spot at the very least, and there's still plenty of race left to make the most of a potential result. Up to lap 9 then, we've got one car ahead left to pit, and I've managed to keep up with the Canadian driver through the first laps of the second stint. And again, they make a mistake through the kink, giving me the momentum down the back straight. I'm gonna get squeezed here, but I fully commit to the move and the inside line into the corkscrew. It's some great racing between us, safely through the corkscrew side by side, and I'll take the spot through the exit, up into P3 now for the moment. I go a bit hot into the final corner and get a poor run out as a result. Will the Canadian go for the move? Not along the straight, but they do send one up the inside into the hairpin. While that's happening, the leader spins coming out of the hairpin, banging into the wall as we drive by. This must have distracted the Canadian driver just slightly. As we head through the next corner, they go a bit deep, and I get a pass up the inside. What a chaotic lap this is turning out to be. And somehow I'm back in the lead. Not a great run through turn 5, but we stay ahead approaching the fabled kink once more. As we go through, the car behind slips up slightly, and the gap immediately opens back up. That gives me a moment of breathing room, but with plenty of race left. Now, here's the previous moment that would cost the Argentine driver the lead. It really didn't seem like much. Perhaps just putting down the power just a moment too soon, and the car keeps rotating as a result. Luckily enough, they would rejoin in P3 with the gap we had to the rest of the field. The laps are starting to wind down now, and the pressure is on to finish the race in the top spot. It hasn't been perfect, but we are racing for the win once again at Laguna Seca. Can we stay ahead? Lap 11, P2 is a mere 9/10 behind me, and despite my efforts so far, that gap is not growing. It shrinks even more through turn 5, another pain point for me, though not as gruesome as turn 6 proved to be previously. It would, however, cause more trouble for the Canadian driver as now, thankfully for me, the gap finally increases as we both head through the kink. A little more breathing room for the moment, but I know the Canadian is capable of reeling me back in. This is lap 12 of 13 now, and I've maintained a gap to the car behind. But that can change at any moment. Through the final corners of the lap, and we'll be on to the final lap of the race. And as we come out of the final corner, tragedy strikes for the Canadian driver behind. They have another near spin moment, this time tapping the wall on the exit. Here's a better look at what happened. Just dipped a wheel into the gravel, and that sends the car off and towards the pit wall. That would ultimately seal the deal for me as long as I can keep the car in one piece for this last lap. What an awesome race this was. Fair play to the Canadian and Argentine drivers. They put up a good, clean fight and made this race an absolute thriller all the way through. And for myself, I am just happy I was able to make it through another race without launching my car off the curb through turn 6. Across the finish line, and that's back-to-back dubs in Daily Race C at Laguna Seca. Clearly the Ferrari-powered livery giving just enough of a boost to help lock down a second win in the Renault. And that will wrap up this video. I do sincerely appreciate it if you made it to the end. Thank you so much for sticking around. What did you think of today's races? Do you find Laguna Seca to be a difficult track? Let me know. Thanks again for watching. Until the next one, goodbye.